This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
All right, it is Wednesday, November 19th, and we are back. The cloud flares, they hurt us. They slowed us down, but they couldn't kill us. Ironhead, he had to come to my studio with his big set of tools and get us straight, fixed us all up, and thank God for that. I don't think I could have missed another day, because here's what I think we are going to witness in the coming days. Hell, we're already witnessing it. After 10 years of watching many Democrat hoaxes, media hoaxes in their never-ending effort to stop Trump, to hurt Trump, to kill Trump, to imprison Trump, they have failed every single time. And I have a feeling, maybe I'm getting a little too excited, too optimistic, but I have a feeling we're about to see the biggest backfire yet. There's a reason Donald Trump called the Epstein scandal a hoax. It was taken out of context by many of us. Even I said it. It's not a hoax. It's real. Young girls, women were exploited, were raped on Epstein Island by powerful people, and it has been buried, covered up for decades. And we are about to see it finally come to light. And I think Democrats are going to regret this day. I think they're going to say, well, that didn't work out. We tried, damn it, but we failed. And what they're doing now, what Democrats are doing now, going to the House floor, going to Twitter, going to social media, is a new low. It is disgusting. It is despicable. They are claiming to care about the victims, the survivors, as they call them. They went out there and told you that these men who exploited these girls must be brought to justice. This is one of the biggest sex trafficking rings, one of the biggest scandals we've ever seen. And to that, we have a simple question. I know it's been asked before, but we got to ask again. Where were you for 4 years under Joe Biden? If this was so outrageous, if this was so scandalous, why are you just ranting about it now? Where the hell were you? If you genuinely feel for the victims, the survivors, if you genuinely want these predators brought to justice, why now? Why are you so upset now? Why do you have such sympathy now? It's not like we're talking about some, tax evasion scam. We're talking about raping young girls. And you said nothing for 4 years. The victims were there. They were telling their stories. We knew some of the names. We've known it for years. This has been going on for 25 years. And suddenly on Wednesday, November 19th, you're mad, you're upset, your heart breaks for these poor victims. This is sickening, what we're seeing right here. I've been screaming about this for 10 years. There were books written about this. There were stories. There was a series in the Miami Herald. There were women telling their stories, begging to be heard for years. What was happening during those years? Well, Democrats were soliciting money from Jeffrey Epstein. They were inviting him to dinner. They were going to his townhouse in New York and his mansion in Palm Beach. The number of Democrats, liberals, caught up in this is astounding. They're doing this because they think it will sully Donald Trump. And it is hard to believe that they think right now, after decades, they're going to get Trump on this. I know there's been many attempts to get Trump. This is the worst one yet. Here's what we know. We're just going to go over some of the things we know. The people involved, the accusations. Donald Trump has been virtually vindicated on this. They tried to get him last week by redacting the name of Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who was perhaps the most prominent victim, who killed herself, or so they say, earlier this year, who testified under oath that Donald Trump did nothing inappropriate, who wrote it in her memoir, Donald Trump did nothing inappropriate. Trump kicked him out of his club. Trump may have even ratted him out to the police in Palm Beach. He wanted nothing to do with him. In Epstein's own words, Trump is a terrible person, awful man. I would just say that that makes it clear that they weren't friends. That Trump, it literally says Trump didn't get a massage in the emails they released. So Trump was familiar with Jeffrey Epstein because they were both billionaires in Palm Beach, a community that is 3 square miles. Of course, they were associated with each other. Of course, they were familiar with each other. Do you know where Virginia Giuffre worked before she was lured into Epstein's world? She worked at Mar-a-Lago. So did her father. That's where he made the moves on her at Mar-a-Lago. Trump kicked him out, and he knew what kind of creep he was. He knew what kind of predator he was. So if you want to say, well, you didn't, whatever, I don't know, you didn't insist the FBI take him into custody at that point? No, he didn't. But he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, and he didn't like him, and they weren't friends, and he didn't go to the island. I would say that clears Trump pretty much. And yet all we've heard for weeks now, or at least since the disastrous Democrat shutdown ended, and they needed to change, they needed a new story. They needed to change the subject. So it became Trump, Epstein, Epstein, Trump. I was amazed. Even when I was on Twitter, I would tweet about anything and immediately get 5, 6, 10 responses saying, your guy's a pedophile. Well, let's send me pictures of Trump with Epstein. And he's going down. That Kara Swisher, the liberal podcaster, the darling of the Democrats, she tweeted, "This is the end of Trump's administration. Finally. Yes, this is it." What is it? What? Tell me, what is it? Do you have any real damning information, evidence against Trump? Because I'm just going to guess, maybe I'm being naive, that if you had that, we would have seen it. Let's not forget the lengths to which they went to bring down Trump. They charged him with 93 phony felonies. They made up a rape charge and bankrolled E. Jean Carroll to go to court and charge him with rape, a completely made up, completely fabricated crime. They tried to put him in prison for the rest of his life. They tried to bankrupt him. They tried to take him off the ballot. They tried to kill him. And we're supposed to believe they had evidence that Trump took advantage of young girls, but they didn't want to, release it yet. It's absurd on its face. Now let's talk about the Democrats and the media's involvement with Epstein. I just made a quick list. It truly is amazing how many people on the left are caught up in this. Larry Summer, former Treasury Secretary for Obama, another icon on the left, president of Harvard. He just said he's stepping down from his public life. He's quitting. He's on the board of OpenAI. He's quitting because he knows what's coming. How about Bill Clinton, who'd been to the island, who'd been on the jet, who invited Epstein to the White House 17 times? Bill and Hillary Clinton, they're not going to like this. And they're refusing to testify, which, you could do that if you're a Democrat. How about Reid Hoffman? He's the one who paid for E. Jean Carroll to charge Trump, who paid for her to go after Trump with that totally made up rape charge. How about Katie Couric? Katie Couric, who last week tried to say with John Fetterman that Charlie Kirk deserved to die. This disgusting person. She was at Epstein's mansion for dinner after he was a registered sex offender, after he was convicted, after he did time for solicitation of a minor. How about George Stephanopoulos, the righteous one? He was at Epstein's mansion for dinner after he was convicted, after he was a registered sex offender. Now we get to the people screaming the loudest today. What about Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader in the House, screaming every day about the poor victims and about how Trump has to come clean? He invited Epstein to dinner and solicited donations, took donations from Jeffrey Epstein. And finally, we'll get to, there are so many others. There are so many others whose names are going to come out if indeed we get to see the unredacted files, and they are going to look really bad. Bill Gates, Stephen Hawking. There are so many Democrats involved here because, as Trump said, Epstein was a Democrat. His friends were Democrats. He gave money to Democrats. He loved Democrats. And they are really demanding the release of these files. This will be the biggest backfire we have ever seen. It is going to be spectacular. Finally, the victims will get their day. The survivors will get their day. They will get, I don't know if they'll get justice, but they will get some level of accountability. Now, let's get to the biggest Epstein cohort of them all. Stacey Plaskett, yes, a delegate from the Virgin Islands who sits in Congress, who's loud, who's obnoxious. We played some of her sound in the past. What she did, if this were a Republican, her career would be over. It would have been over instantly. It would be an obsession with CNN and MSNBC. It would be front page above the fold in the New York Times and Washington Post every day until she will run out of Congress on a rail. It would be all over for Stacey Plaskett. But she's got one thing going for her. She's a Democrat. I'm sure you've heard this. I'm sure you've seen this. But Stacey Plaskett was being coached in real time by Jeffrey Epstein while she was in a congressional hearing questioning Michael Cohen. This was amazing, and it was done by the Washington Post, by the way. Washington Post put this all together. How is this woman still in Congress? We're going to get to the censure, which is disgusting. But how is this woman? There's no shame in Washington anymore, none. This woman should be hang her head in shame and leave, go back to the Virgin Islands today. She's going to remain in Congress. She's a congresswoman taking instructions from a convicted pedophile in real time. And it's like, you look at it and you laugh and say, boy, she looks bad. She defiantly made a speech yesterday saying, she took a call from a constituent. Everyone takes calls from a constituent. Then Jamie Raskin, another sleazeball hypocrite, he comes out and says, hey, all she did was take a call from one of her constituents. Really? She took a call, she took texts from a convicted pedophile who told her what to say and then congratulated her on what a good job she did. Can we play that, God? Let's play this. I know lots of people have seen it already. I've seen it dozens of times. It is still mind-blowing. This is one of the worst human beings that's ever lived. This is a monster. This is a vile, disgusting predator. And he's on the line texting her, telling her what to ask, what to say, and then telling her she did a wonderful job. What's the price to pay for Stacey Plaskett? Anything? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. She wasn't censured. She's not kicked out. She's not kicked off of committees. She's not even embarrassed by this. This is remarkable. Let's watch a little of it.
Obama was president of the United States. And while we were once driving through a struggling neighborhood in Chicago, he commented that only Black people could live that way. Attorney-client privilege, yes, I will turn it over.
You, as my friend Mr. Meadows pointed out, misled this committee even today in a written submission.
She is typing.
Your testimony. You have suggested you are going to review that. Did
Rona. She doesn't know who Rona is.
Our next
She's asking Epstein who Rona is.
Question. You helped out.
Quick. I'm next up.
We're involved.
Is that an acronym?
Even in your words today, it was your idea.
That's consistent.
2011. Is that accurate? Yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Ms. Rona. Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump organization?
They
and
are.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So Alan Weisselberg is the chief financial officer.
Uh-huh.
The
You got to
Trump
quickly give us
organization.
as many names as you can so we can get to them.
Yes, ma'am.
Is Ms. Rona, what is Ms. Rona's position?
Rona Graff is Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his, and she's involved in a lot that went on.
Good work. Epstein texts a sitting member of Congress, a delegate, and tells her, good job. Again, if that's, I don't know, Jim Jordan, if that's Brandon Gill, if that's any Republican, their life is over. It is remarkable. They dismiss it and say, she was just texting with a constituent. Yeah, a man who bankrolled her campaign, who put her in office, a convicted pedophile. Everyone agrees, an evil man, an evil monster. I mean, this is like someone taking instructions from Bill Cosby or R. Kelly. This is Jeffrey Epstein texting a congresswoman. And what happens when she gets caught by the Washington Post? Nothing. Last night they voted on the censure of this disgusting woman. It failed because a bunch of Republicans didn't vote or voted not to censure her. Why? Well, some of them are spilling the beans here. Anna Paulina Luna and the great Tim Burchett explained they made a deal because Democrats wanted to censure Corey Mills, that creep from Florida. And they made a deal. We'll drop your censure. I'll drop mine. That's what's going on. This is the swamp at its worst. A censure does nothing except embarrass them publicly. And they decided that wasn't worth a censure. That they censured Marjorie Taylor Greene, and we'll get to her when she was I think she hadn't even been sworn in yet. She was censured for stupid memes on social media. That woman collaborating with a convicted pedophile, and they don't even censure her. Most Republicans voted to censure her. You know how many Democrats did? Zero. Every single one of these frauds, these phonies, telling you Epstein's the worst person in the world. Epstein, what he did is disgusting. Anybody associated with him is bad. Not one Democrat voted to censure that woman for doing that, what you just saw. And Jamie Raskin, who's really concerned about Epstein because he thought he could tie it to Trump, said, nah, she was just talking to a constituent. Here's Raskin, by the way, next on the list. Raskin's involved in a scandal where they stole emails from Ghislaine Maxwell in prison. People on the staff in the prison stole her emails, and we believe it's been alleged that sent them to him. So add him to the list. These people are so dirty. They're so involved with this. It's just, and they're pretending to care about victims, and they're pretending to be outraged because Trump's name is in the files. They're just the biggest freaking frauds ever. Here's Raskin before he thought he could get Trump on the Epstein thing, and after his colleague, his friend Stacey Plaskett was caught texting with Epstein. Go ahead.
One thing he's clearly doing is changing the subject from a different form of crime, which is child sex trafficking, which Jeffrey Epstein was a mastermind of. Donald Trump's name apparently appears throughout the Epstein file.
They've arraigned a Democratic member for taking a phone call from her constituent, Jeffrey Epstein, in the middle of a hearing. I still don't see what the charge is. Where is the ethical transgression?
I don't understand what the ethical, this is one of the most prominent Democrats in DC who doesn't understand what the ethical transgression is when his cohort was texting with Epstein and getting instructions on how to interrogate a witness. They have no souls. They have no heart. These people are just empty. These people are just soulless ghouls who don't give a shit about the victims, who don't give a shit about child sex trafficking. They care about one thing, power, and two things, power and stopping Trump. That is it. This whole thing is so disgusting. Trump is expected to sign the bill today, and then the DOJ has 30 days. And get ready. Mike Johnson actually said they have to be careful because releasing the whole thing could disrupt our entire political system. That's the words he used. Oh, no, not that. Oh, wouldn't want to disrupt our political system, Mr. Speaker. As I said, I've been talking about this for years. I read the books. There were, by the way, these liars like Hakeem saying, we didn't know any. Katie Couric went on with Andy Cohen and laughed about having dinner with Epstein after he was convicted when everybody knew who he was. And she lied her ass off, said, well, the information wasn't out yet. He was convicted in 2009. He did time. He got a sweetheart deal, but he did time. For years, they continued to hang out with the man, go to his house, go to his island after he was convicted of abusing young girls. Every one of these sickos from Bill Clinton and Larry Summer and Katie Couric and George Stephanopoulos should be shamed. They should be called out. They can't get away with this. They can't get away with this because they didn't give a damn for years and years. And now they're pretending, oh, it was awful what he did, and hoping they can tie it to Trump. I think it's going to blow up in their faces. I think it's going to be the greatest backfire we have ever seen. And I think we're going to learn today how dirty these people are when they refuse to censure this woman because they made a backroom deal. It is what's going on right now in the swamp is truly sickening. And here's hoping it all blows up in their faces. Speaking of blowing up, we have to get to the Thomas Crooks scandal. I'm telling you, I like Kash Patel. I love Dan Bongino, but man, am I losing faith? A lot of people are losing faith in this. The FBI covered up the attempted assassination of Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th, 2004. There's no other way to spin this. It really is amazing. And it took Tucker Carlson and Miranda Devine, just a couple of journalists with curiosity, to just completely expose this. And you have to ask, why didn't the FBI tell us these things? Why was it up to Tucker and the New York Post to tell us who Thomas Crooks was? We'll get to that. And we got to get to a couple of my favorites. Jasmine Crockett, she thinks she's got some Republicans on the ropes in this Epstein scandal. Boy, is she stupid. Unbelievable. We'll play that and more. But first.
Excuse me.
The Better Business Bureau is now warning us not to use tap and pay due to a new scam. It's called ghost tapping. Another way cyber criminals are trying to get to us. Phishing emails, fake text messages, data breaches, ghost tapping. That's why our friends at Webroot are offering a huge discount on their total protection package with lightning fast antivirus to identity theft protection with dark web monitoring, secure VPN. You have to have a VPN now, and unlimited cloud backup. Webroot Total Protection helps defend every part of our digital life. With up to $1 million in fraud expense reimbursement, 24/7 US-based customer service support, and new text scam detection. Now you're backed by powerful protection that's built for today's threats. Get cyber secure with 60% off Webroot Total Protection at webroot.com/Newsmax. 60% off. The biggest discount they've ever offered, but only when you go to webroot.com/Newsmax. Do not wait. Get cyber secure with Webroot Total Protection today at webroot.com/Newsmax.
Before we get to the FBI cover-up of the Trump, I got more on Epstein. It's just, this is so infuriating watching these frauds. Here's a new breaking news report. Hakeem Jeffries solicited donations from Jeffrey Epstein and asked him to meet with Barack Obama. So we knew he was a pedophile. We knew he was convicted. He was a registered sex offender. And they had dinner with him, solicited money, and asked him to meet with the president of the United States. That's not all. That's not all. ABC News covered it up. We'll get to that. We'll get to ABC News. They're all in it up to their eyeballs. I have a question, and I'm not sure the answer. Was Trump playing them all along? Was this a masterful setup by Trump? Because it was clumsy when he first said it was a hoax, when his attorney general, Pam Bondi, said she was going to release all the files and then release nothing, when she said she had evidence on her desk of 250 men who were involved in this, and then we got nothing. That was like 9 months ago. Was it all a setup all along? If it was brilliant, because this is going to blow up in their faces. And I'm not sure any of these people are going to look good when all is said and done. We got to get to man, there's just so much. Let's get to MTG. I mean, let's get to Jasmine Crockett. She never fails. Jasmine Crockett, leader of the Democrat Party here, future senator candidate in Texas, thinks she's going to win the state of Texas. Well, she took to the House floor yesterday because she thought she had them. Republicans who were also taking money from Jeffrey Epstein. This is the most hilarious backfire I think I've ever seen. Listen to this idiot when she thinks she's got a bunch of Republicans who were connected to Epstein. Go ahead.
Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly: Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio. I just want to be clear. If this is the standard that we're going to make, just know we're going to expose it all. And just know that the FEC filings, they are available for everybody to review. This is absolutely ridiculous.
All right. Sounds bad, right? All those Republicans taking money from Jeffrey Epstein. And you know what? She's right. They did. They took money from a different Jeffrey Epstein, a doctor who... Here's Lee Zeldin's response on Twitter. He says, yes, Crockett, a physician named Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who's a totally different person than the other Jeffrey Epstein, donated to a campaign of mine. No freaking relation, you genius, writes Zeldin. What an idiot. Zeldin took the money from Dr. Jeffrey Epstein after Jeffrey Epstein, the pedophile, was dead. That's how dumb she and her staff are. That is amazing. And let's do Chuck Schumer, too, because this one was hilarious. Chuck Schumer, who is a dead man walking, who is the biggest casualty of the shutdown. He's shut down. He will never recover for it. He will retire quietly to be replaced by AOC. But here he is the other day being asked, why didn't you scream like this when Biden was president? Why did none of you people, and people have done searches, none of these Democrats even mentioned Epstein's name, let alone the victims, for 4 years? They didn't care that this sex trafficking ring was being covered up for 4 years. It meant nothing to them. This guy was asked why they didn't care when Biden was president. And his response is absolutely hilarious. Go ahead.
Why wouldn't they have been released the last 4 years when President Biden was in office?
Well, that's the question every American is asking. Or not every American, but so many Americans are asking. What the hell is he hiding? Why doesn't he want them released? When you don't want something like this released, when even a whole lot of Republicans are calling for the release, his own party members, people ask the question, what's he hiding? It's got to be answered by releasing the files.
What is he hiding? Good question. Man, if this vindicates Trump and implicates all these Democrats, you have to ask, what were these people thinking? How did they think this was going to go? Just the evidence I've seen, Trump's going to come out of this not only clean, but one of the only people who was trying to stop Epstein. At least he kicked him out of his club and allegedly told the cops what he was up to. He didn't go to the island. He didn't get a massage. How many of these Democrats are going to be able to say that? Hell, even Dershowitz, who's never fails to point out that Trump is not involved here, he got a massage. He says he's innocent, and I guess we'll find out. He'll be in the files. Here's Jamie Raskin this morning. He writes, the House voted for a chance for justice and truth for the thousands of women and girls trapped in Epstein's global sex trafficking ring. Wait a second. A global sex trafficking ring? That sounds horrific. That sounds awful. Never said a word. This absolute sleazebag Raskin never said a word until 3 days ago when he said, maybe we can get Trump this time. Imagine that. Imagine claiming that you're upset about a global sex trafficking ring when you were in power, when you had the chance to do something about it and did nothing. Truly amazing. You know what? I want to get to this ABC story. We're going to get to the FBI cover-up, which, man, was that explosive. But yesterday, Trump hosted MSB, Mohammed Sin, whatever it is. I always screw up his name. MSB at the White House, the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. And this, of course, set off Democrats and many in the media because Mohammed bin Salman is not a beacon of virtue. You know, he's a tyrant in Saudi Arabia, but he's an ally. And he's promising to invest $1 trillion in the U.S. economy. And he's probably going to join the Abraham Accords and bring peace to the Middle East. So Trump, as always, is transactional. He's looking at the big picture. And the media thinks, this is wrong because journalist Jamal Khashoggi was murdered and this guy was implicated. Well, a couple things. First of all, you have to do business with tyrants. You have to do business with people who do evil things. Hell, Trump met with Xi Jinping a few weeks ago, a guy who has concentration camps with Uyghur Muslims, a guy who's committed a lot of human rights violations. He's trying to bring peace to the Middle East. Of course, he has to deal with tyrants. Secondly, you know who else does business with Saudi Arabia? Like every company, every corporation. As I've said many times, I grew up in a Raytheon family. My father worked for Raytheon. They have a headquarters in Riyadh. And I'm going to say, oh, you can't do business with this tyrant. Every company in America does business with them, including ABC, which we'll get to. But this is an ABC reporter, Mary Bruce, grilling Trump and MSB over human rights violations. Listen to this.
Is it appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president? Is that a conflict of interest? And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the worst in the business. But I'll answer your question. I have nothing to do with the family business. I have left, and when I've devoted 100% of my energy. What my family does is fine. They do business all over. They've done very little with Saudi Arabia, actually. I'm sure they could do a lot. And anything they've done has been very good. That's what we've done. We've built a tremendous business for a long time. I've been very successful. I decided to leave that success behind and make America very successful. And I've made America more successful by far than it ever was, and that it ever could have been, no matter who was president. There would be nobody bringing in $21 trillion, that I can tell you right now.
And then MSB answers, and, he he didn't get upset, but here's what you have to understand. That person, Mary Bruce, and all her fellow fake news colleagues were giving her credit for asking a tough question. The same person, Mary Bruce from ABC, submitted her questions to Joe Biden in advance and then read them if they were approved. Here's the note card that was in Joe Biden's hand during the press conference. Here's what they told her to ask the feeble, dementia-ridden president. Quote, how do you view the path forward? How do you think about your place in history? And there's a picture and her name on the card. That's the definition of fake news right there. Now she's a tough guy. Now she's asking the tough questions. And and Trump could have handled it better. He almost snapped on her. But you know who else does business in Saudi Arabia? Who does business with MSB? Who was involved with the murder of Khashoggi? ABC, Disney. There's a Disney theme park in Riyadh. And this woman who works for Disney thinks Trump shouldn't sit down and try to bring peace to the Middle East and bring money into the United States. ABC is so dirty. He's right. They are the worst. So you can get that clip from ABC in 2019 when a reporter had the whole Epstein scandal ready to go, ready to report. She talked to the victim, talked to Virginia Giuffre, and was going to blow the lid off it and implicate the Clintons. And of course, ABC, the Stephanopoulos News Network, of course, they squashed the story. And while Stephanopoulos killed the story, he was meeting Epstein at his home for dinner. Again, this thing's going to blow up, and it's not going to blow up on Trump. It's going to blow out on all these people who can't see straight when they think there's an opportunity to get Trump. They had the story in 2019. They killed it to save the Clintons and any number of other Democrats. Do we have that cut, Ironhead? I know you got a lot there. Here it is, the reporter in 2019, caught on a hot mic. This is not on the air. This is on a hot mic complaining that they wouldn't let her report on the Epstein scandal. Go ahead.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago, saying there will come a day when we will realize Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. And I had it all 3 years ago.
Had it all. She's saying this in 2019. She had it all in 2016. She had it all, implicating the Clintons and others. And ABC killed the story. And now ABC is all over it, man. They're all over it. They're what is Trump hiding? Gee, I don't know. Maybe. What is ABC hiding? Shouldn't that be the question? What is ABC hiding? All right. Oh, man, I got a lot to get to today here. Let's get to this FBI story. I just was looking at the numbers that Kash Patel said they've really worked this story hard. 600 interviews, maybe 600. They have 600 agents on the story. They've done over 1,000 interviews. The FBI, in the days after the Butler shooting, Not only did they cover it up, they flat out lied. They told us, we talked about it, that Thomas Crooks, this loner, this loser, 20-year-old nobody, had a very limited digital footprint. There wasn't much there. And we've said it for a year and a half. Why don't we know more about the guy? Well, now we do. And it took Tucker Carlson and Miranda Devine. I'm going to guess Tucker probably has, 5 or 6 people who work for him. Miranda Devine, she's a reporter at the New York Post. They both had the same sources. That's what Miranda said. And their sources took this story to another level. Are we to believe the FBI didn't know any of the stuff that was in the New York Post on Sunday? Didn't know any of the things Tucker reported on last week? Of course they did. Why didn't they tell us any of this? Here's the truth. He had a massive digital footprint. He had at least 17 accounts across various social media platforms, including Discord, Snapchat, Reddit. And I know you're going to be shocked. He wanted to be known as a they, them. Yes, we have another non-binary shooter. We have the assassin of Corey Competore, the guy who came within inches of killing Donald Trump, talked about violence and assassination and terrorism over and over again on social media. It was all there. It is all there. And they still aren't telling us the truth. Why? Why? There were major failings on the part of the Secret Service and the FBI, and they still will not come clean. This is a cover-up. That's a definition of a cover-up. But I can't get over this. This was after the shooting when the FBI went before Congress to answer questions. This is the deputy director, Paul Abbott, who just looked at Congress, looked in the camera, looked at the American people, and lied. I still can't get over this. Here he is trying to portray Crooks as a right-winger. Why would you do that? Why would the FBI lie like that and try to convince us that he was something he was not? I'm telling you, I know we have new people running the FBI, but they've been in place for 9-10 months. Why can't they tell us the truth about Thomas Crooks? Here's FBI deputy director in the days after the shooting lying to you.
We believe the subject, the shooter, fired 8 rounds. While the investigation has not determined motive, the investigative team continues to review information from legal returns, including online and social media accounts. Something just very recently uncovered that I want to share is a social media account which is believed to be associated with the shooter in about the 2019-2020 timeframe. There were over 700 comments posted from this account. Some of these comments, if ultimately attributable to the shooter, appear to reflect anti-Semitic and anti-immigration themes, to espouse political violence, and are described as extreme in nature.
He knew this, right? We all know this now. In 2020, Thomas Crooks flipped. COVID, whatever, something, he got involved with the trans cult. He flipped. He hated Trump. He literally said, the only way to fight terrorism is with political assassinations. He wanted Trump dead in 2020, in 2021, 2022. He flipped. He knows this. This guy knows he's lying. He knows he wasn't motivated by anti-Semitism or anti-immigration. They are trying to throw people off the trail. This is our FBI. How is this guy not, in jail right now? He is covering up the attempted assassination of the U.S. president. He knows this guy had a big digital footprint, and he lied. Christopher Wray lied over and over again. Why? Miranda Devine said after her big explosive story on Sunday that the FBI had been, quote, nothing but hostile to the media, to her, to Tucker. And again, Tucker's got a handful of people, and he just blew the lid off the thing. He exposed him as being a non-binary furry fan, just like this Charlie Kirk assassin. He was into furries. He was into muscular mamas. He was a freak. And he left a huge digital footprint, and he wanted Trump dead. And they went in front of us and lied. Man, I know a lot of people say this, but it feels like the FBI has to be just disbanded, just blown up. I'm not blown up, just ended.
Figuratively blown up.
That is they are so corrupt. Think of this. He came within an inch of killing Trump. If he killed him, would that guy still have lied? Would Ray still have covered it up? Ray went in front of the same committee and said, we don't know if Trump was shot. It might have been a little shrapnel that hit his ear. What? Of course you know what happened. You're the FBI. And you lied to us to diminish it, to make it seem like, well, it's not that big a deal. And yet they're walking free. Christopher Wray is the biggest scoundrel that we've ever seen in that, of late. Why is Christopher Wray sitting at home with his huge pension, probably working for some other defense company? Why is he not in front of Congress today? Why is he not behind bars today is what I'd like to know. But great job by the New York Post, by Tucker Carlson, and the FBI has much explaining to do. So they did 1,000 interviews, and they couldn't tell us what we now learned in the New York Post. They couldn't tell us the truth. Why? We need to hear more, much more. All right, let's. Man, let me get to. We got to get to MTG. Do I have time to do MTG? God, this pisses me off. I was willing to give MTG the benefit of the doubt. She went rogue. She went anti-Israel. She went, claimed to be America first. And I think there's room for that in the Republican Party. I think we give too much money to Israel. We spend too much time talking about Israel. I agree with that. They're our ally. They're important. I certainly understand what they did after October 7th, what they have to do to make sure it doesn't happen again. But she's just gone off the rails. She's not talking about focusing on our country and not other countries. That's America first. She literally went on CNN, if you missed this, and apologized for using toxic rhetoric. Yes, CNN. She went on a network that is one of the worst purveyors of toxic rhetoric, where you could see any night, any day, you could hear people calling Trump a Nazi and calling him a fascist and calling, MAGA all extremists. That's what they do. That's what Jake Tapper and Dana Bash and Brian Stelter and everybody at CNN, that's what they do. And they call her out and she apologizes. This is just incredible. Check it out.
But we have seen these kinds of attacks or criticism from the president at other people. It's not new. And with respect, I haven't heard you speak out about it until it was directed at you.
Dana, I think that's fair criticism. And I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country. And it's been something I've thought about a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, is that I'm only responsible for myself and my own words and actions. And I am committed, and I've been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another, and we need to figure out a new path forward that is focused on the American people, because as Americans, no matter what side of the aisle we're on, we have far more in common than we have differences. Yeah. And we need to be able to respect each other with our disagreements.
Oh my God. She's lost her mind. I'm all in on primarying her, stopping her. She has lost her mind. She mentioned Charlie Kirk. Who shot him, Marjorie? We watched for a year, more than a year, while they rioted in the streets, attacked ICE agents, while they shot Charlie Kirk, while they attempted to kill Trump twice, while they called him a Nazi, while they slandered everybody in MAGA. And they did it with CNN. CNN, that was where you went if you wanted to call Trump a Nazi and a fascist. They had no problem with that. And now they're calling on Marjorie Taylor Greene to apologize. And what does she do? She plays along like a freaking puppy dog. God, I don't know what happened to her. Maybe she's made 22 million insider trading since she got to Congress. Maybe she's all set. She's fine, moving on and losing in next year in the primary, because, man, Trump is not happy with her, calling her Marjorie Traitor Greene, and I'm with him. She's not a traitor to the country. She's a traitor to MAGA. If she's going on CNN and apologizing for things she said, when they're literally shooting today, they're attacking ICE agents in Charlotte. Today, there's still people out there happy Charlie Kirk was killed. Katie Couric said he deserved it. But no, Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to apologize for using bad words. I could do this all day. We got to get to, let's finish with Michelle. Let's finish with Michelle Obama. I don't want to, we don't have time for all her clips, but man, I don't like Barack Obama. I think he was terrible for this country. He's the one that started all the racial division, or certainly reignited it. He's the one that invited in millions of people who hate this country. His third term with Joe Biden did more destruction in this country than any one term in the history of our nation. I feel bad for him. He has to go home to this. He has to live with this. This woman is insufferable, unlikable, arrogant, entitled, and more than anything, tone deaf. I just want to play the clip where she says, we're not ready for her. She was asked about running, which she can no longer do, by the way. She used to be, their top candidate, their great hope for the Democrat Party. That's over. We're getting a look, thankfully. We're getting an honest look through all her appearances and podcasts at who she really is. And she's just detestable. Here she is telling us she's not going to run because we're not ready for her. Good.
As we saw in this past election, sadly, we ain't ready. That's why I'm like, don't even look at me about running, because you all are lying. You're not ready for a woman. You are not. So don't waste my time. We got a lot of growing up to do. And there's still, sadly, a lot of men who do not feel like they can be led by a woman. And
oh my God, she is repulsive. First of all, we should apologize. We've let down Michelle Obama again. As a country, we've disappointed her. And she's not going to run because we're not ready. So she's going to deprive us of her incredible talents. Secondly, not ready for a woman. They just ran a woman who was wholly unqualified, just the worst candidate we've ever seen. A dummy.
Actually, Gerry, Kamala will be the first to tell you she was the most qualified.
Kamala was an embarrassment to Democrats, to the country, to the whole system. She got 75 million votes. 75 million Americans voted for an absolutely brain-dead, empty shell of a woman. They just elected two mediocre women governors in Virginia and in New Jersey, overwhelmingly by a landslide. They almost elected Hillary Clinton, who's not stupid. She's evil. So they nominate Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris. They lose, both of them to Trump. And it's our fault because they don't have penises. They're women, and we don't want a woman. How about you nominate, a qualified woman? How about you don't nominate a absolutely embarrassing DEI person like Kamala Harris, and then we'll find out. She's just so disgusting, really is. You're not ready for me. Yeah, I'm great. I'd be great, but you're not ready because I'm a woman. You know what? It's good she gets out there and she speaks, and we get to really, really see who she is, because she would get trounced. I would love for her to run. J.D. Vance would absolutely trounce her. Maybe she would go away forever, but I don't think we'll be so lucky. We have let her down. We as a country, we have to do better. We have to elect someone like Kamala Harris, who would absolutely destroy the country in 4 years. Or Hillary Clinton, Jeffrey Epstein's friend, Hillary Clinton. We were supposed to elect her, and then we wouldn't disappoint Michelle Obama. What a just disgusting human being. All right, I have lots more to get to, but we can save it. We'll be back. Hopefully, if the cloud flares don't get us tomorrow, Ironhead, we will be back. But that will do it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow.
Worry about it. Let me explain something to white people. Our hair comes out of our head naturally in a curly pattern. So when we're straightening it to follow your beauty standards, we are trapped by the straightness. That's why so many of us can't swim and we run away from the water. People won't go to the gym because we're trying to keep our hair straight for y'all.